All right, awesome. So I'm Alex Cohen, one of the co-founders of CommandDot. Zane, who's also in the Zoom, is my co-founder of CommandDot. We teamed up about 3 months ago, set out on a mission to make inbox better and smarter by improving workflows and making them faster. And we'll explain more what that means in a second. So email still really is this centralized hub where work happens. Anything you do externally really happens in email. Slack still hasn't solved for most external communications, but we come in, really like lots of stuff happens. Everything from booking meetings to updating your to-do list to searching files and folders. But the problem is that because email is dumb and doesn't connect to a lot of things outside of email, these manual workflows are slow and inefficient, and they lead to errors. And what happens is we as workers go between email and these other tools. We memorize some stuff, we go do it in another tool, we come back to email, and it's just this manual process right now that's inefficient and not great. So we like to look at scheduling as this prime example of a workflow that happens frequently within email, and it requires excessive tabbing and typing. So someone reaches out to you via email, they want to set up some time to meet for coffee, probably not now with everything going on, but you tab out of Gmail, you go into Gcal, you look for some days and times, you go back into Gmail, you type all those things out, and you're like, hey, here's some times I can meet. Day 1, here's a few times. Day 2, here's a few times. Then you go back into Gcal, you confirm those dates and times, make sure they're accurate. If there was any time zone conversions, hopefully you did the math right. Then you go back into Gmail, you hit enter, you send your availability. And then of course, if that person finds a slot in those times you send, you can lock it in and put that on your calendar. And when we've timed it in the past, this takes on average 5 minutes to do. And that doesn't even include things like adding in time zones or multiple recipients or creating the event. This is really just sharing times. So what we've built and what we've started with is a Chrome extension that integrates with Gmail, Gcal, and Superhuman to remove this friction. So when you're sitting in Gmail, you can now invoke our Chrome extension. It comes as a palette, and I'll show you in a demo in just a second, but it pops up as a palette right on top of Gmail. You have some templates for your most common meeting types. That includes duration, how long, or any buffer time, days of the week, times of the day. You hit enter, it inserts those times with a block of text. You didn't have to go pop into Gcal to see when you're available. And so I'll pop into a real demo just because it's more fun to see it that way than it is to just look at a screenshot. So this is my email. I've got an email drafted to Austin. If I wanted to find some times with him, I'd pull up CommandDot. I could type something like phone call. It gives me some options. If Austin was based, let's say, in like London, I could type London. It would convert it to GMT. I hit enter, and it's going to go ahead and find those times on my calendar and then insert them into the email just like that. So do any of these times work for a call? All GMT. Now that's in GMT, but it's reflecting my calendar. And all of those times come from a template that I've got created called phone call in my admin dashboard. So I'm in here, I've titled it phone call. If I were to change it like 45-minute call as an example, and giving it a second to save, I could change all this stuff, edit the palette, choose the number of days I want to share, the number of times I want to share, and then it's going to find all those slots on my calendar that are open. And that's where we're pulling back in real time the availability across all the calendars you have linked up when you're sharing an email, so you don't have to think about it. We work in Superhuman as well. So if you use Command K in Superhuman, we've may or may not be inserting ourselves into their command palette. If I hit enter here, it should draft that email within Superhuman. And then same thing if I wanted to do time zones and stuff like that. I could do drinks next week. I would share things after 4/3, or I could do drinks next week London or anything like that, and it parses everything. So cool, now it's sharing times after April 3rd. So yeah, back to the deck just to wrap up. We're really excited. There's a big opportunity here in terms of just the number of people who are knowledge workers that that live in inbox, and we really think we can be the future of how work gets done in email. So there's 800 million knowledge workers, 100 million of those are technical, and there's 23 million software developers. So it's a pretty big market in terms of just knowledge workers globally. A little bit about myself and Zane. So I previously co-founded a company called Birch. We were acquired in August of 2018. Before that, I was early at SharpSpring, a marketing automation platform. Zane is a really brilliant software engineer. He's been bootstrapping companies since for about like the last 10 or 11 years. His last company, he bootstrapped to 100K users, and that he was acquired by a private equity firm in early 2019. And we partnered up earlier or like late 2019 when we started working on this as a side project, and now it's become full-time. We're also really excited because like people are basically begging us to use the product right now. I mean, we've got a pretty nice size wait list. We haven't shared anything publicly. We're still not for a few weeks as we refine some of the design and some marketing. But I get messages all the time of like, hey, can I sign up? I want to use this. I've tried everything else. Like, can you fix scheduling? Can you fix everything in email? We have a bunch of stuff on the roadmap beyond just inserting times. Pricing, we're charging $15 a month for the full-fledged platform. It's basically on par with like a Calendly or a Meetingbird or Mixmax. It's actually cheaper than a Mixmax, half the price of Superhuman. And for someone that schedules a couple meetings a day, we can give them back 15 minutes on average every day for only $15 a month. That's it. And at some point, if this goes out to full SuperConf attendees, we'll give them priority access. Thanks.
What keeps Superhuman from just building this into their own platform, given their existing sort of brand and distribution?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're not going, and they're definitely going to build a calendar. They're going to build notes. They're going to build some sort of functionality to do something similar. Our goal is to be truly client and platform agnostic. So whether you use Superhuman or Gmail or Airmail or Edison, like, or just generally you could be an iMessage or WhatsApp. We're building a Mac app for that later on. Our distribution is really any of the tools you use. Scheduling happens a lot in email. It doesn't only happen in email. So we don't want to limit you to just one client that you can use it in. And then we're also going really deep in the scheduling stack to focus on specific workflows for folks who work in HR or EAs or SDRs, where I don't see Gmail or Superhuman going that deep into scheduling anytime soon. I think they'll build a calendar. I'd be hard pressed to see them build a true full-fledged scheduling platform.
I thought this was pretty good. I use Meetingbird right now, and I think the extra steps that you're able to remove make a lot of sense. I think the price point sounds fair. I could see some questions like I would have as far as like how many accounts, Gmail accounts, can I use this with one subscription? Like right now, I'm curious because I pay for Superhuman, but I haven't used it well. I might cancel it. But I have like 5 or 6 different Gmail inboxes, and so anything that could streamline across the sort of the spectrum would be super useful for me.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna see if it loads for me right now, but basically like we'll support unlimited Google accounts. We'll have a different price point for teams where we can share preferences across teams. I'm actually pulling in, like, this is my personal email that's linked to this version of CommandDot here, and I'm pulling in my CommandDot emails as well as like my calendars, as well as my wife's calendars here too, because I subscribe to her in GCal. So really like the one workaround right now that we do is create a unified calendar for the account that you're syncing to CommandDot, and then we'll pull everything back. Long term, or pretty short term actually, we'll support OAuthing multiple Google accounts. And so if you had 4 or 5 calendars, you'd be able to choose, like, each template, you can actually choose which ones you're including. So sometimes like when Zane and I have to hop on a call, I have a template in my other Chrome browser that's for work, that's just for his and my calendars when I'm sharing times externally. And the template down here, the copy usually says like, here are some times that Zane and I can do for a 30-minute call.
Hey guys, good pitch, very straightforward. You kind of covered most things well. Do you have a plan around how you plan on launching your product? A lot of your competitors have, done a decent job or good job with that. So what is that plan?
Yeah. Zane, I can let you take it so I don't talk the entire time.
Yeah. Hey, nice to talk to y'all. Yeah, so in terms of launch plan, you definitely want to steal the Superhuman playbook, and that's what we've been doing so far. So all of our current private beta users are folks who have invested or who, were looking like they were going to invest. And from there, we're going to use that to bootstrap a leaderboard of kind of productivity influencers and use those people to gatekeep access for the general public. So that creates that FOMO and the desirability around wanting to have the kind of same power user tools that these influential people have. That's kind of roughly the next 3 months of plan.
Yeah, and so it'll be invite only to start. Like one person will get multiple invites, or to kind of gamify it, you can pay for a year in advance and skip the line. And we're not having a free version, and in terms of like what we'll probably have another tier for just inserting times as kind of the carrot, and then but we're not going to have a full free version because we really want to self-select out people who don't care enough about scheduling that they're not going to get value out of the product.